Hey, everybody, Tony Gohard here for the Punk Rock Conspirator, and this is actually the first actual conspiracy style video that I've done on this channel. I've really been dragging ass on this channel, but let's just jump straight into it. This video is going to be about my own personal stuff that I have, seen. I won't necessarily say gone through because this isn't like oh dude, I got abducted by aliens and this and that. And a majority of those stories that I hear, I generally think that it happens to be like some kind of paranoia or some sort of psychosis or something, traumatic that's happened in their life other than what they're actually saying is happening. It just kind of manifests that way inside the mind. But there are definitely some things that can't be explained, or there's just some things that, not just explanations, but, like science, common sense, logic, all those kinds of things, it just kind of like goes into a different way. And some of these things, there just really isn't an explanation for. And I'm not going to get into all of those kinds of crazy trippy things because the things that I've seen and things that have happened with me, I think that there is a reasonable solution, a scientific thing that you can, say, okay, this is what it is and that's what it is. But the things that I've seen and all that, I'm not, all right, how do I put this? I'm not saying that it's aliens or anything. I mean, there is a good chance that it is aliens because let's face it, if you live in this galaxy, there is no damn way that we are the only ones that are here inside this entire galaxy, that this is the only planet that has life on it. And furthermore, this is not going to be the only planet that has intelligent life on it, and so on and so forth. And we can keep on going down that scale, and I could do not just a video but an entire series, an entire lifetime of doing that stuff, explaining how it is that is not only possible, it is more than definite. It's like a 99.9 more numbers than you can count that it is definitely true. Anyways, these are the things that I've seen, and again, it's not going to be like, oh dude, I was abducted by aliens, or I woke up in a field and there's no reason. There's obviously going to be a reason for that. I mean, I'm drinking from one of these cups right now. Of course, I'll probably wake up in a field. Anyways, these are some of the things that I've seen and things that just like kind of perplex me, and I'm more than sure that it's not earthly. All right, let's see. There is definitely a few lights that I've seen in the sky. A lot of these things, I don't think they're extraterrestrial in nature. I think that they're actually man-made, and I have a feeling that has something to do with the U.S. military. Obviously, I live in the U.S., so that's obvious that it would be something like that. And there's good reasons for the U.S. government not to let us know about every tiny little fucking thing that they do, because it's a matter of national security. Like, let's say one of the other countries that we're at odds with, if they had the exact same technology and all that, had the money to fund it and all that stuff, I'm not saying that we would be in a bad position, but I'm just saying that like the entire planet would probably be in a bad position. Like whenever somebody found nukes and then other countries started making nukes, and then essentially it's just like a Mexican standoff. Everybody's pointing their gun at everybody else, and everybody has the same power, and not only can they kill themselves, but they can destroy the entire planet. So it's not a good thing. I mean, it's not a good thing for any country to have anything that strong, and really everything like that should just be completely dismantled, taken apart, and all of the minerals, resources, whatever, everything that was put into those bombs could be used for something else to help mankind and make things better. But I'm running off into another tangent. These are the things that I've seen. We were at an apartment complex called Cloverleaf Properties in Houston, Texas, in the Cloverleaf section. we were just hanging out. Me and my wife Rebecca, we were just like hanging out one day, and we were just like, we had just barely even started drinking. Like, this right here, I didn't even slam one of these. We just barely even started drinking. We were standing outside. It was a nice day, and then we just see like that, and exactly like that. Like I'm doing, no sound, no. You know how if a plane flies over and they're low, you can feel it. Like it's not exactly like the ground is rumbling, but you can feel it like in your chest and stuff, and you know that it's going on. Like even if you can't hear, like let's say you've got headphones on, you can't hear it, you can still feel the power going through your body. There was just like a bright ass green light that just went shoo, like that, but there was no sound. There was no power going through your body. There was no feeling, no anything. It was just if I wasn't looking up, like all right, we were looking, let me see, I'm trying to remember how the way that, I guess it would have been headed west from like we were standing in front of our apartment door, so we would have been facing west, southwest, pretty much, and it was going that way. There was no sound, no anything. If we weren't looking up at that exact same moment, and it happened like, I don't want to say the blink of an eye, I'd say it was probably around 1.25 seconds. If we weren't looking up at that time exactly, we wouldn't have seen it, we wouldn't have known it, we would have sensed it. None of our senses would have been able to pick it up. And it just went like that. And it was just gone. There was nothing about it. I could ask anybody about it, but just like I said, if we weren't looking up at that very point in time, we wouldn't have been able to tell what it was. I mean, we can't tell what it was, but we wouldn't have been able to know that something happened. And to me, yeah, it could have been, like a space rock flying by, but I've seen space rocks go through the sky and they go at a much slower speed. Like, I mean, the speed, like the actual speed, it would be something ridiculously fast, like an extreme amount of speed, but from where we were versus how far it was and everything, it was going through extremely fast. It was like a laser, basically. You don't, like if you push a laser pointer, you can't see the laser going like that. You just see the light. So it was something like that. And again, chances are it could have been some kind of government whatever, or some kind of private corporation thing that they were testing something out, or satellite set at a higher speed to increase I don't know, internet speed or whatever. This was I want to say maybe 12 years ago, 11 years ago. My son, he was a little baby, probably like 1, 2 or so, and that's when that happened. So that would have been like, say, 10 plus years ago. And we saw that, and probably now if you actually like fixate on the sky or whatever, you'll probably see that and know exactly what it is, and you'll be like, oh dude, you're an idiot, this is what it is. And then I probably, yeah, you know what, it's more than likely what that is, because at that point in time, that would have been an experimental thing, a thing that they were trying to work on, trying to, improve their technologies or whatever the hell. And to me, it would have looked like some kind of crazy space wizard stuff. But that's what I'm guessing it was. And then at those same apartment complex, there was one time, it was, middle of the day, probably maybe late afternoon. I look up and I just see this like massive thing in the sky, and that's the only way that I can, it's a massive ass thing in the sky. And the way that it was moving, and it wasn't just like, cruising like that. It was moving like more or less the way that a fish moves inside a tank. Like we used to have Oscars when I was a kid, and then the fish, they move slowly like that, and then they like spin around and do stuff like that, but it's always really slow. They're never, well, I mean, if you like stick your hand into the tank, they'll like that, but just in general, they just kind of like move slowly like that, and they just kind of mind their own business and do that. And I saw that thing in the sky, and it was moving exactly the same. It was a skyfish or like a sky ship, and I just looked at it and I was like, "What the hell is that thing, man? That is really weird." And I knew that it wasn't. Well, I mean, it could have been a blimp, but as far as I know, blimps just go in like a straight pattern. Like they can turn, but they can't turn on a dime. So they'll turn like slowly like that. I was talking to one of the guys that I was working with at the chemical plant about it, and the dude's name is John. He's a real cool guy, hardcore kid from like way back. But I was talking to him about it, and then he explained it to me, and like I was just like, yeah, that makes total sense, The more than likely, what it was a military carrier, and for the military to move stuff, generally they're not going to have tanks rolling on the ground from city to city, because not only would that be like a ridiculous waste of gas and energy, but that would terrify the crap out of people. So what he was saying was that there's these massive ass military carriers, and they carry like tanks, jeeps, all that kind of stuff in there. And I was like, you know what, man, that makes sense. I'll chalk it up to that. I'm not gonna stress too much about that, but I saw it and it was just really weird and ridiculous. And I mean, if I was to, let's say do an internet search on something, I might even be able to pull up something, and it would probably be some like old, outdated ass stuff, but it would pretty much be similar, because whenever you hit on more or less, whenever you hit on perfection, you don't improve on perfection. You just kind of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. So that kind of makes sense with that. Now, there was another time I was coming down, well, this is about in New Mexico, because that's where we are right now. We're in Albuquerque, and I was on I-25. I was headed south from Rio Rancho doing a drop-off, doing a delivery. I just delivered some food. I think it was to the trailer park that's just north of Paseo. So I was heading south of Paseo. I want to say I was getting before the Osuna San Mateo exit. I know that it was definitely before where I hit Jefferson. And at that point, there's there's like a hotel, there's a car dealership, probably like a couple car dealerships and stuff like that. So there's lights and stuff, but they're low. It's not like whenever you go into, like, let's say downtown, where everything is all really lit up, and all of that. All the lights on the freeway were out. What the hell do you call them? Street light. They're not, for the lack of a better word, they're street lights. The ones that stick up like that and then they shine down. They're not the red and green and blue lights, or red and green and yellow lights, but they're the ones that illuminate the street. So I was going down; those were all out, and I just see like the same thing, like that first time that I was saying about in Houston. I just saw like, but again, no. Well, I don't know if there was no sound, because obviously you're driving on the freeway; it makes sound. So listening to the radio, and I saw it, and it's just like a straight thing like that. I actually put that up on my delivery channel. It's a channel where I just talk about deliveries and doing stuff like that, and just basically a work vlog of just basically bitching about things, And I put that in there, possible UFO sighting, and that was whenever, but it was like a blue streak, just like that, just like, nah. I was gonna say like in the snap, but it was a little bit longer than that. So I just see light like that, and then I'm like, all right, we're in New Mexico. This is gonna be another Roswell thing or what? But there was no impact. It just traveled through the sky, and then that was it. So no crazy repercussions or anything. I saw what I saw. Didn't really freak out about it, and I'm all like, okay, well, I guess we'll see how this day goes. if dudes come out with me with ray guns or whatever, I guess that's what's up. But none of that happened, so that was that. And then this last thing that I'm going to say, I know for sure that it wasn't, alien tech or whatever, or government trials or conspiracy or anything, but it was the first time that I ever saw, like, I've seen shooting stars before, but this one was like extremely close to the planet. I had parked inside of our, not inside of our parking spot, but a parking spot inside the apartment complex. And it's the one that I generally like to get to because it's close to the curb. So I can pull up really close to the curb so that nobody can, hit my door with their door whenever they get out, because we just got the van. So I pulled up real close to the curb like that. I stopped, put it in park and all that, turned it off, and then I just see really slowly. And this is why I think that those other things weren't asteroids or comets or whatever, because I just see really slowly a space rock floating through the sky. And when I say really slowly, I mean like, in astronomical term or whatever the hell, space terms. I just see it like cruising through the sky, and I know that it's really close because it looks really big. And then how there's always the tail that comes off of a space rock whenever it's flying through, and it looks just like not necessarily a solid thing, but like a crisp straight lines. This one was coming and it was like this, and you could see the chunks of stuff like space dust just coming off of it like that, and I thought it was really cool. I don't think it was, again, I don't think it was anything alien. It just looked like, space chunks. And it looked pretty cool. And that was the last weird thing that I've seen. But there's plenty of weird stuff to be seen. And actually here in New Mexico, probably not just in New Mexico, but I mean like just inside this little section of New Mexico, we're like way above sea level. When we first got here, it's really hard to breathe. Our noses would get all like compacted and hard and rocky and all that because we weren't used to it. We're used to it now, but where we are, we're up here, and like in Houston, it seemed like the sky was all the fucking way up there, You could see where the sky was and you could see where Earth was. But here where we are, sky doesn't seem all that high, We're just driving, we're just walking, and the clouds look like they're just like barely above us. And the whole thing is weird. I know I'm going to run into some other stuff, definitely. I try to keep my eyes on the road, but every now and then I just kind of have to take a glance out, I see shooting stars all the time. I know that they're shooting stars because the way that they look. We see satellites turning, they flicker a little bit. And essentially you can tell the difference between those and a star and, stuff like that. I just don't know where to go from here with this video. I mean, we're pretty much at the edge of town, so there was that whole 3-planet thing not that long ago, where if you looked at the moon, you could see the 3 planets that were making a triangle. And we saw that. I pointed it out to Rebecca and I told her, that's that. And then she thought that it was pretty cool. I mean, you can generally see stuff pretty clearly. But at any rate, that's going to be the end of the video. Let me know some of the other stuff that you've seen, some things that are pretty crazy, any stories that you've got of some, otherworldly stuff, or let's say you thought it was otherworldly, or it turned out to be some kind of military program that not that you figured out, but if you figured it out, then you figured it out. But I mean, like something that let's say got declassified or whatever. Stuff like that. Let me know what's up. We've got plenty of conspiracy stuff to cover. We've got some crypto, what the hell would I call it? A crypto profile, I guess. We've got some of those coming up. I just got to be able to write them down. But this is the first video that I wanted to do, actually doing stuff on this channel. My mom's got some stuff. And, my family, they got a lot of stuff that they would want to talk about. Well, I don't know if they would want to talk about it or not. but they definitely have some stories. So stick around and I'll catch y'all in the next video.